And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick taking you through to that closing bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, they join us now. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube, with an S&P 500 set to close out the week at another record high.
And then I was looking at the weekly numbers, up, 3.5% on the S&P 500. I almost couldn't believe it. Because it just didn't feel that way, considering some of the churn in the market. But
yeah, it was kind of like a stealth rally, if you will,
yes.
Because we kind of had that midweek swoon. But yeah, you're right, 3.5%, 3.6% to be precise.
Okay, well, there's still, one more minute, so we don't know.
Tim, there you go, Tim.
I love that you're always so exact.
If you're impressed by 3.6%, look at the Nasdaq Composite, up 5.3% for the week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, it gets to this idea that at the end of the day, with this rotation that we continue to see underneath the surface, so that when sort of one group of one sector or one group of the market sort of does poorly because of shift in sentiment, usually something else picks up that mantle. Today, obviously, though, we have to address the elephant in the room, is that obviously a lot of the green on the screen in the equity markets is tied to some of the red that we saw out of that jobs report earlier today.
Right. A weaker report, right? And the expectations is that maybe we don't get the Fed raising rates anytime soon. But there's a lot to go before we get to that September rate decision.
A lot to go here, and of course, in addition to that jobs report that we just got earlier this morning, a reminder that next week we are going to get that inflation data. Of course, the other side of the Fed's mandate, CPI and PPI prints coming down the pike. A relatively lighter week for earnings, but still some consequential ones that could potentially move the market. As for today, the S&P 500 is going to close at a record high. It's up about 47 points on the day, 0.6%, 3.5%, 3.6%. On the week. The Nasdaq Composite adding more than 300 points, or 1.3%, up 5% on the week. Similar story for the Nasdaq 100. The Dow Jones Industrial Average only up 0.3% on the day, but it is going to finish the week higher by 3%, and a 3.5% gain on the week for the Russell 2000, which adds 1% on the day.
That's your little buddy, right? That Russell?
I like the Russell.
I know you do. I know you do.
It's a little engine that could.
I know, always is. All right, S&P 500. I'm going to go back to the large caps, if I may. Most names in that index higher today, 321 names gaining on this Friday, Romaine, 180 to the downside.
180.
Are you drinking?
I was. I was taking a swig of water. I have to wet my whistle.
He's the only one. To be fair, he's the only one on doing the talking.
I have to do all the
there.
heavy lifting on this show. So let's get right to it. We take a look at the IMAP, and actually, this is kind of what a lot of people have been talking about: the idea that this does not necessarily have to be a tech-led rally. It has still been relatively concentrated. Today, materials got in on the action. That is the outsized gainer on the day, up about 1.5%. Discretionary stocks were up there as well. Tech stocks also up about 1%. Your laggards were in communication services and in energy.
Are you hating on the tech stocks?
No, I love tech stocks.
All right, just making sure.
Look at all those double-digit gainers.
Every night I go to bed, I just talk to Claude.
Tim was like...
Hello, Claude.
I say, hello, Claude.
What does Claude say back to
you? You really are a lonely man,
right?
You
don't want to know what Claude says to me. Dark things.
Does nobody want to talk to you or play with you or be on set with you?
Romaine, call me.
I will.
We'll talk.
Yeah. I don't have your number, but sure.
All right. Let's call Airbnb. Apparently investors are. Let's get to it, because that is definitely some outperformance in the session. This one up 17.4% in today's trade. Top gainer in both the S&P and the Nasdaq 100. Company boosting its annual revenue forecast for a second time this year. They cited robust demand in the U.S. and Europe. Company now sees annual revenue growth improving by a percentage of at least mid-teens, and boosted its full-year margin forecast for adjusted earnings. Optimistic outlook suggesting that travel demand does remain healthy. Overall, nights and seats booked jumping 10% to 148.3 million in the second quarter. They're also renting out, apparently, boutique hotel rooms. So this is a new revenue stream for them. The stock now up about 28% year to date. Let's flip it on over to SpaceX, if we may. This one up 16% in today's session. Top gainer it was in today's trade, the NASDAQ 100, continuing the climb that we saw yesterday. That came after the release of as many as 911.5 million shares worth about $100 billion from those lockup agreements. So investors snapping up the shares. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, we know, since the IPO. Stock, though, $133.11, so just below that IPO price closing here. And I think the stock is up roughly about 19% this week. Let me just see if it made the 20% mark. Yep, up 22, almost 23% for the week overall. And then let's go on over. I hope I gave the right ticker. Microchip? Thank you. Lizzie, thank you. A top in the S&P and NASDAQ 100, that went up about 13, almost 14% here. Semiconductor manufacturing forecast, company forecast adjusted earnings per share for the second quarter.
Yeah.
And guidance that beat the average analyst estimate. We did see some analysts raising their price targets, some lowering. Stocks up more than 30% year to date. What?
All right, Tim, go.
Okay. Well, I think Romaine wants to talk Dunkin' and coffee. I do too. We'll get there in a second. I want to start with Trade Desk, the worst performer in the S&P 500.
Always, aligning with
Down
one.
22% today. We covered this briefly yesterday when the company was out. It reported earnings for second quarter and gave third quarter revenue that really missed average analyst estimates. Shares are down 89% since 2024 highs. At least 4 brokerages have downgraded their rating on the stock after this latest report. Once again, Trade Desk down 22% today. Let's go to retail and apparel and talk Under Armour a little bit. The company forecast sharper revenue decline than previously expected as demand softens in several key regions. Shares down today by 4.5%. The company's been trying to turn around its business by cutting its product offerings and reducing discounts. And then remember, they lost Steph Curry, and that's added additional pressure as well. 4.5% to the downside for Under Armour. And finally, shares of Sweetgreen. Romaine, I know this is one of your lunch spots. I went today to do some research. Mm-hmm. It was, no joke, empty today. Midday on, to be fair, it's a Friday in Midtown Manhattan. I don't know if anyone comes into the office except for us. But there was nobody there, and that's the concern that Sweetgreen has right now as it continues to battle the Cyclospora outbreak, even though its products have not been linked to what has happened with certain packaged lettuces. Shares down 8% today after it downgraded its net sales for the year.
Yeah, and we're going to hear from Kava next week with their earnings. As far as the yield picture, keep in mind on a weekly basis, the dollar is down. So too are oil prices, and you're seeing yields drift down as well, down about 5 basis points on your 2-year yield. The 30-year yield down 3%. Meanwhile, Carol, there's something I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because right down the street from Bloomberg World Headquarters, some new coffee shop opened up.
Can you see me?
I was like, I'll check it out. It's called, what is it called? Watch House?
Watch House.
Watch House. This is clearly not for me. It is very fancy coffee, very expensive coffee. Our producer came in the other day and she was complaining. She was like, I paid like, $40 for this and all I got was like 6 ounces.
Lizzie? Meredith? Which one?
I don't know. Why are you calling her out?
Queenette?
What's your problem?
No. The Bambito Estate? Is that what she has?
It comes with green tea as well.
Beans from a family
farm. All right, so this is a luxury chain.
It's only $32.
It was just popular overseas, and they do have a variety of offerings. You can get regular coffee for $4. I'll keep this conversation going, Carol.
Don't hate it.
Hey,
if
Romaine.
you want to pay $32 for a cup of coffee, you get the Bambito Estate, steeped from beans from a family farm in Western Panama, and served with a side of cold brewed green tea. Tim, have you been there?
I have not been there. I am a fan of pour-overs, though. I've been known to pour over coffee of my own. You can do it at home, too, and it still tastes really good.
But people like the experience.
Romaine,
they want to be out.
Wait, which way am I pointing?
Maybe Claude will take you for a cup of coffee.
This one, Romaine? Oh, my God. He's a little bit of a primo when it comes to coffee.
Yeah.
I had no idea because he never drank coffee at work.
I don't drink coffee at work.
That does not surprise me at all, Carol Massar.
I know. I know. Now that I've spent some time working.
You probably got one of those fancy, like, Italian espresso machines.
I do.
House,
Yeah. The Bizzera BZ10.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but it sounds expensive. Well, speaking of expensive, if Watch House isn't your thing, maybe Dunkin' is. Interesting promotion going on. There's this marketing campaign out there by a company called Pace, where basically if you buy things at certain stores, you get a $10 gift card for Dunkin'. Well, as young people tend to do, they found a way to really sort of game this system. I mean, let me talk to Tim. Tim, to game this system, so explain how this works. What's going on? So the idea is they just keep buying things, spread it across all their credit cards.
There.
I guess, okay.
Yeah.
Write me in. This is how we feel.
They buy $10 gift cards. They make
Squeezed
transactions close to $10 to maximize their reimbursement. Mm-hmm. Some have been able to redeem hundreds of dollars in credits. I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
It's you. Maybe we're not. Let's just say the demographic.
I'm not the demographic of either one of these two.
I don't think.
Carol's holding up a piece of paper.
I'm sad.
It's a frowny face. Why?
I'm sad. Look, do you see my eyes? They're X's.
Is this
What's
what
wrong,
you guys
Carol?
do in the studio all day?
Sorry?
Nothing. I think we have to go.
Hey,
Romaine,
I haven't really been talking today.
Are they bringing you a co-anchor next week?
No, I want them to bring me a $30 cup of coffee.
$32, not including tip.
I'm not even going to get you a $10 gift card.
Okay, good night.
Just going to tell you.
Claude will get it for you, Romaine.
Kind of love you. Have a good week.
Kind of.